Okay, let's dive right in. We're about to pull back the curtain on a really interesting and kind of weird corner of JavaScript. It's a way of creating functions that behaves in ways you would absolutely not expect, but for a very, very good reason. So get ready to meet new function. So you probably think you know all the ways to create a function in JavaScript, right? You've got your standard function declarations, you've got your function expressions. They're the things we use every single day. But what if I told you there's a third way? A much more dynamic way, one that lets you literally build a function from nothing but a string of text. And that third way is the new function constructor. This thing lets you create a fully working executable function totally on the fly, straight from a string. It is a seriously powerful tool, but as you'll see, it's one you'd only use in some very specific situations. So how does this thing even work? Well, the syntax is actually pretty simple. You just call new function and you pass in whatever arguments you want as strings. And then that very last argument you passed in, that's the function body itself, also as a string. Let's see what that actually looks like. Now this is where it gets really powerful. Think about it. Any string can become a function. You could, for example, get some code from a server and then compile and run it right in the browser. You could take simple strings like A, B, and return A plus B, feed them into new function, and bam, you've got a working addition function. But, and this is a big but, this power comes with a super strange quirk. And that quirk leads us right into our big puzzle for today. We're going to look at a situation where new function seems to completely break one of the most fundamental concepts in all of JavaScript, the closure. Okay, check this out. On the left, we've got a totally normal setup. An outer function, getFunc, declares a variable called value. The inner function can see that variable and alerts it. That's a classic closure. It works perfectly, just like we expect. But now, look at the right. We do the exact same thing, but we create the inner function using new function. And what happens? It fails. It just crashes, throwing a reference error because it has no idea what value is. So what in the world is going on here? I mean, the function is being created right inside getFunc. It's literally right next to the value variable. So why can't it see it? Well, this isn't a bug, folks. This is 100% intentional. And the reason why is actually pretty genius. The whole secret, the answer to this puzzle, boils down to a special hidden property and how new function sees the world around it. Okay, here's the big reveal. Under the hood, every function in JavaScript has this internal property called double curly environment. You can think of it like a secret link to all the variables it's allowed to see. For a normal function, that link points to the scope where it was born. But for a function created with new function, its link always points to the global scope. It doesn't matter where you create it, it only ever sees global variables. And that's it. That's the whole reason our puzzle code broke. The function we made with new function was completely blind to the local value variable inside its parent. It's like it was born in the global scope, totally detached. It's a pretty strange behavior, but why on earth would JavaScript be designed this way? Well, this weirdness isn't a limitation. It's actually a very, very clever solution to a huge problem in modern web development. You see, this isn't a bug, it's a feature, and it's designed to make your code more robust. The whole problem it's trying to solve comes down to one word: minifiers. You know, those tools that we all use to shrink our code down for production? They take our nice, readable variable names and squish them down to single letters to save space. And that's where things would get messy. Let's walk through this nightmare scenario. Step 1. You write some perfectly good code with a variable called username. Step 2. The minifier comes along and, to save bytes, it renames username to just A. Step 3. Now, your new function code, remember, it's just a string. It has no idea that the variable name changed. It's still hard-coded to look for username. Step 4. Boom! Your code blows up in production and you're left scratching your head trying to debug it. So by forcing new function to only see the global scope, the JavaScript creators basically fireproofed it against this entire class of bugs. It forces you into a much safer pattern. If you need to get data into that function, you can't just rely on a closure. You have to pass it in explicitly as an argument. And that makes your code way more reliable. Alright, let's bring this all home. We're going to quickly revisit the syntax and then lock in the key things you need to remember about this. Oh, and one last little thing you might see out in the wild. For historical reasons, you can also pass all the arguments as a single comma-separated string. So as you can see here, all three of these versions do the exact same thing. Just a little syntax quirk to be aware of. So let's nail down the takeaways. First, new function creates functions from strings right at runtime. Second, and this is the big one, it does not create a closure with its parent. Third, its scope is always linked to the global environment. And fourth, this is a feature to prevent those nasty bugs from code minifiers. And finally, the proper way to get data into it is to pass it in as a function argument. And there you have it, the secret of new function. It's a pretty niche tool, for sure, and you won't reach for it every day. But understanding how it works and why it works that way gives you a much deeper insight into JavaScript's scope, closures, and the practical challenges of building for the web. So the question is, now that you know this secret, where could you see yourself using it?